afternoon to you. Thank you so much for always visiting my channel. This afternoon, I'm very humbled to have you back to my channel again. Most of the time, I look at how my YouTube channel is doing, and I cannot forget to say thank you, because all those YouTubers that we have around the country or around the world, to always have somebody listen to what you have or to just have a view of your content is a blessing. So I just want to welcome all of you. I want to say thank you for the so far that we have come together. I tell you, it's not an easy journey, yes, but I realize that as time goes by, I just have happened to learn a lot of things, and I meet great people along the line. That is why today, this afternoon, I've said, before I bring my guest who will be coming anytime from now, I've decided to continue with my own personal journey, with like my own story. When I started my YouTube channel, I decided to talk about the kind of drama I went through in church, like the kind of life I went through in church. Like I told you in my previous videos, for those who have not been able to kind of look at my previous videos, please always go back to see what I'm talking about, because that is where you can be able to understand, since I may not be able to start from the beginning all over again. It's going to take quite some time. But when I decided to start my own YouTube channel, was kind of really to heal from the things that I was going through, and to kind of release the pain that I was having in my heart for a long time. When you've been through a certain situation and you feel like it has taken the whole of you, like it has taken a lot of time for you to discover that it's hurting you. You feel like you want to talk about it, and you also want people who will listen to learn from you, and you also don't want people who will listen to fall victim. So I told you from my previous videos that there is this church that we used to attend with my late white husband, and like we had given all ourselves to this church. Like when you're joining church, you're not joining just for the sake of it, because sometimes you feel like you really want to connect with your God, and you feel like you have all the gratitude to give, especially by going to church. Like at that time, I felt like God had done so much for me, not forgetting that I had come from quite a challenging background. And so by having somebody who had come all the way from Canada and decided to come and share life with me, and he took me the way I was. He didn't even care whether I was from whatever kind of background. He just loved me like I was. And so I didn't really want to go the way of how people go with their white husbands to Mombasa or to fun places. Mine was just all about church. I think like 70% of our time we used to do church, and it was really like a way of gratitude, because I was like saying, if it was not for God, then I don't know who has done this. And that is why I decided to kind of give my appreciation by going to church and being part of it, and being a very active member, by the way. So by being an active member, I think we were so much involved financially, to an extent we really didn't use some kind of wisdom. And I think it's because of the brainwash that was going on there from the man of God who was my pastor then. Because remember, this is a church that was still struggling to kind of stabilize, and at that time they also didn't have any kind of property and things like that. And here comes a white man who, of course, looks like he has some millions, and so who will be the main target? See, that's the target. And so we became so much involved. We became so much involved to an extent that we did not even really have time for ourselves. Like, when you're newly in marriage, it's not really, I wouldn't say about intimacy or anything like that, but this is somebody who is new, who you've not known before, and you're also new to this person. So sorry. So I think you need time together so that you can be able to know each other. So from the very moment he came, we didn't even have time for like to know each other, what are his behaviors, like who I am really, because we had just met online. So you see, most of the time was just church and church, and I think that's where now the pastor decided to take advantage, because I remember the moment I told him, like, I've been able to find somebody who is coming to marry me, and this man of course looks married. I think I just became a very, very major project for him, and we became a very, very major project at the end of the day in that church, because we kind of became stupid in giving. Like, we gave so much to an extent I sometimes feel how much we've lost in the name of gospel or in the name of giving, and it really bites inside. So when I share this story, sometimes it's not really to shame the so-called man of God, because I've not even mentioned his name. It is just to kind of release the pressure and the stress that I had for a long time, and also to kind of enlighten my viewers or my followers that church does not have to be like giving, as in it doesn't have to be giving and giving and giving. Giving is okay, but you should also give in a wise way. You should be very cautious when it comes to giving. I realized that myself, it became so bad that I forgot I had family, and I forgot that I had most of my family who would have really wanted this kind of help, of course, money wise. But I later on come to realize, like, brainwash can make you forget about those very important people in your life, those people who like really worry about you, those people who really care about you, and then you kind of find yourself together with people who are just there because of what you have or what they can be able to benefit from you, like this man of God did to us. So after this time, and after a long journey with the church, I decided to quit. Like I've said in my previous videos, we decided to quit. And that is the time we started having a lot of issues, especially in my company, because I realized, like, things were just not moving. Things were just not moving the way they were supposed to move. And then we ended up in a very, very, very serious financial trouble, because I came to realize, like how I used to flow. My visas really used to flow. Like, if you'd come to my office and you want to go, you want to go abroad, it was not hard for me to get a visa for you. And within a short while, I was able to become a great name in Nakuru. So after some time, I realized, like, I'm paying for visas and I'm not able to get these visas back. I ended up losing a lot of money, of course, and this really put me in a lot of trouble with, of course, with most of the clients, because there is no way you have paid for something or you have paid for services that at the end of the day, they are not going to be rendered. And this really made me go through a big challenge in my life. So you see, that time, and then at the same time, my husband stopped receiving his pension, because his country argued that if you're not living in Canada anymore, and you have not declared that you're not coming, like you want to live in Kenya, then you cannot receive your pension. So, like, they deducted, he was getting some amount, but now they deducted by almost 50%. So this time it became so very impossible for us to meet most of our bills, and even to raise the kids that we were raising, because together myself and I, we were able to adopt some kids, even though not legally, but we were able to get some kids to live with us because we felt, okay, I only had one child that time, and I was feeling like I can be able to extend a hand of help to some of those kids that like I felt I can live with, which I'm living with to date, and I'm so happy that God has not let me down on that. So when I realized that we are not moving, I came to just focus on what the man of God had said. Because he said, like, even if she goes away, even if she stops coming, she will suffer so much that she will wear slippers and come back. So it clicked my mind. Is it because I stopped supporting, or is it because I stopped going that is why we are going through so much? Because we ended up receiving a lot of attacks. Here you are fighting with clients who want their payments back. Here you are with a husband whose pension has been cut by almost 50%, and also his health at that time started becoming an issue because when he was coming to Kenya from Canada, he was using blood thinners. For those who have heart issues, they know. But when he came to Kenya, he stopped using the blood thinners. He said, I don't feel sick anymore, and I think now that I'm closer to the equator, I feel like I'm really not in need. So what we did, we kind of sought medical advice on that, and that was long time ago. The doctor said, okay, fine, as long as you feel you're okay and you're not struggling to breathe and things like that, then it's okay. You don't have to use them anymore. So my husband stopped using the blood thinners, and his health was just perfect. But you see now, in this time, when we are going through so many challenges, I was expecting at least the church that I supported with my all. You know, when you say your all is like, you can also, you can ignore what is so important to you to be able to support the ministry. Because I remember I had also started a mercy ministry within the same church. I was supporting women who did not have a kind of income. Like I would buy food for them. Like I would also give money to maybe people who felt like maybe you need 500, 1,000, 2,000. It was not a problem. My office used to be visited by so many people from church. And I tell you, those things or those requests that used to be brought to my office, be it school fees, be it medical appeal, be it funeral. I think I've bought so many coffins for people that I didn't know. Be it somebody who is just having issues financially. Like I remember there is also a guy who came and told me, you know what, I'm being auctioned. Please loan me 100K. I'm going to give back to you. And you see, this is somebody who has come from church. So you say, okay, if it's 100K, you have it, because I know we come from the same church. I know you can always give it back. But that did not even happen, even for a single day. It did not happen. I did not even receive anything. So that time, I gave my all. Like I could not ignore. I could not ignore any help that anybody would want from me. And this man of God, even when he was building his house outside Nakuru, he phoned me one day and he said, you know what, I'm doing my house and I think you can be able to support me in doing the kitchen. And so I told him, okay, fine, I can be able to support you with doing the kitchen. I think it was the floor and some things that were remaining. And I remember I sent him a whole 40,000 Kenya shillings for that. And there are just so many things that he would phone me about and I support. Sometimes it's not even church. Sometimes it's just personal issues, and I will really come through for the man of God. So I remember there's a time he kind of... I'm sorry I'm going about so many, but at the end of the day, you'll be able to understand, because I remember there's a time he called a list of names for some of us in church, and those that were called out were those who were financially able. like, you know, in a church, you can be able to tell like this and this and that. There are people who are financially stable. So he came out with a list and he said, so and so, so and so, and of course, Evelyn being number one, I want you to see me after of course the service. And we were about like, I think if we were not 20 or 30, yeah, we were about that. So he said that, you know what, we have a mother church in Nairobi, and that's what okay, he had a senior pastor above him who is based in Nairobi. So he said, I want you guys to see me after service because there's something I want to discuss with you. And when we remained behind, he said, you know, I have come to realize that I need partners close to me, people who will be able to carry this vision to a next level, like financially. So he said, because I know you cannot be able to do it really alone, I want to take you to my senior pastor to be able to give you some kind of anointing so that you can be able to get money, you know, like money will just come flowing to you. So I don't know whether it was supposed to be voodoo or it was supposed to be magic or what. So he said that we should, all of us, come with 20,000 shillings each, at least, not less than 20,000 shillings each. And he said we are going to go as a special convoy to meet the man of God so that he can be able to give us like a special anointing so that we can be so moneyed in a way that in case there is anything that needs to be done to church or in the church, we don't have to struggle about it. So, hey, me, I was like, oh, why not? If I'm giving this and I will get this in return anytime. So I talked to of course, my Mzungu husband, and I feel bad because he was of age, and I never even used to like really put his health first or like put his age first, because you know, even traveling to Nairobi for things like that, it was kind of tiresome for him. But I told him, you know what, because I would really have to translate everything that the pastor has said. So I told him, you know, we've been told to go to Nairobi. There is this kind of special anointing we are going to be given. I'm sure after that occasion or after that journey, we are going to be millionaires or what, or at least we are going to be on a higher level. So we went, like I think 20 or 30 of us, I don't remember the number quite well, and we made it to Nairobi. And I tell you, they had really been waiting for us. So you can imagine if we were 30 people and we were carrying like 20,000 each, all of us at least, even though there were those who carried more, like I think myself, I carried 30,000. So this is somebody you're going to give him at least 600K in one shot. And it happened to be funny because when we went there, the service for that church was, I think the lunch hour was still going on. And like when they realized we had come, I think they just decided to kind of let the service be run by someone else. And we were ushered to an office somewhere behind the church. And when we went there, the man of God, like now the senior pastor, there is nothing much he did. He just, like now, it's now this pastor of Nakuru who was telling him, you know, I have brought you my pillars. I want you to bless these pillars. I want you to give them that anointing so that they can be able to carry the vision for Nakuru Church, things like that. And imagine he just said, oh, that's nice. Oh, so okay, I have a special kind of anointing oil and I'm going to kind of give each one of you. And you know, when we were leaving Nakuru, I remember he told us that the man of God in Nairobi was going to wash our feet with the anointing oil. So you know, that time, things like those really make you feel like, kumbe it can really work, unajua. So when we went there, actually, in fact, I think most of us went into sandals and things like that because we were hoping, or like we had been told that he's going to wash our feet. But when we went there, He was together with his assistants. He just said, "Oh, God bless you so much. You know, we have this vision. As you can see in Nairobi, we have a very big church. We have pillars. So you are the ones who have been chosen, like the pillars of Nakuru. You're the ones who are going to carry the vision." And I remember that time in the convoy we were, is a lady who was not able to get kids, like she was not able to get pregnant. So when I was joining that church, every time they used to pray for her, telling her that God has told me it is not even going to finish 1 month or 2 months before you conceive. In fact, even the Lord has showed me that you're going to conceive a boy. You know, they always tell you it's a boy. I don't know why they don't use a girl. So we were to, and many other times, the pastor used to tell her, "Pana, the Lord has showed me, the Lord has showed me." And it was time back and forth. This lady used to be told that God has spoken that she's going to conceive. But you see, even her, she was married. She was running a very good business in town. So she was also those people who would like really give abnormally. So when we went now to Nairobi, back to my story, we were together with this lady and of course other people. We were just told to put the monies that we had brought in one big envelope, and that's what we did. I realized even there are those who had even carried more than I was expecting. And it was just presented to the senior pastor. And you know what he did? He just asked for the anointing oil, and he just told us to kneel down, because it was like in a dining somewhere, because there was a table and things like that. So he just came and touched our foreheads, and that was it. He just said, "God bless you," and that is what is going to happen. I tell you, I think we just went into a more series of financial issues, because that is the time now my company now was really, really, really collapsing. That is the time now I was having a tough time with police, because you know, if you have paid money somewhere and you have not received the services, and again these people are seeing you with a white man, what do you expect? See, they will definitely know you have the money somewhere, and even if you paid and it has not been like, it did not work, so you still have the money to like kind of refund. So this one really put us in a lot of trouble. And that is the time I really needed like my pastor or like my church to hold us, not to help us financially, because if they are building and if they also have their own challenges, there is no way they can help you financially. But do you know, there's a time you feel like there's this person I help, there's this person we've gone through the journey, because you know, like there are people who are telling me, "But Evelyn, it is not the pastor you are helping, it is the church." The reason why I say it is not the church, because it is this pastor who you like used to tell me, "Do this, do that, this needs to be done." Like you see those things that you used to post. And remember, there were also things that I was doing for him that were besides church, like even building his kitchen, and I don't know, things like those. I don't know, his car has broken down, things like that, buying in Maka. You see, don't know, those ones were outside church issues. So it is a time like I really needed like encouragement. I really needed somebody to come and tell me, "You know what, Evelyn, this situation will come to pass. No matter what you're going through, no matter how it is going to come to pass." And at the same time, my husband has even stopped receiving his pension, like totally, because they said, "Since you're not coming back and we are not even sure what you're doing, we are not going to pay you." So he had to kind of use a lawyer, and it is somebody in Canada who was helping him, and the best they could do was to just pay him 50%. And 50% was not even enough to run for anything. I can say that, because of the kind of budget we had in our house. We had kids we were looking after. And then here are people on your back. They want to be paid. So the little you're getting, you have to pay all these people. So what really happened, I never received any support like emotionally from my church. My pastor, the best he could do was to just go saying that I will get trouble wherever I go. He just kept on, like, wherever I could meet maybe members from that church, they would say, you know, the pastor like is like really angry with you. And imagine that is the time you're hoping that this man of God, who even knows where we live, who was also the guest, or I mean the bridegroom of in our wedding, like he was the best man to my husband. See, this is somebody, even without that pastoral court, can come and like listen to what we are going through. How can we help? Even if it is not financially, well, how can we advise? What can we do about this situation? But the best he could do was just to like kind of black us out. So we went into a series of financial problems. We went into a series of so many things. I remember it was a very, very, very trying time. And sometimes when I look back at the journey, I think I'm a very, very strong woman, because even without going into details, if I did not die that time, I don't know if I'm going to die soon. I've said that before, because I was handling so much and trying to remember that there was somewhere I had taken us home. There was somewhere I had put all my trust in. It used to hurt me so much. But the good Lord, as always, will never let his people suffer. Unfortunately, my husband did not make it through. I think because of the stress and the pressure that we were going through that time, he got a heart attack. And in fact, even when he was getting a heart attack, even when I was taking him to hospital, the only people I could kind of rely on was my family, because those were the people now who were close to me, and one or two friends here and there, but not even a member of church, not even one person from church came to hospital. And I remember he stayed in hospital for almost a week, and he was in the ICU. And it was a very trying time, even though I did not expect him to die at that time, because every time I would go to see him, even though he was unconscious, he would tell me like, you know what, Evelyn, this journey has just begun. And when he was telling me in his ICU bed that this journey has just begun, I could not realize what he was telling me. I thought he was kind of just talking his own things. But after sometimes, not like after he has gone, is when I know what he meant by telling me this journey has just begun. And in a few, I'm going to tell you what he really meant. So my husband did not make it, because I left him in hospital at around like 5 p.m. And since he really could not do so much for himself, the doctors just advised me to go home and come back the following day. And that is after a week he had stayed in hospital. And when I went home, I remember that night I tried to sleep, but I just could not sleep. And here in hospital, I've stayed for a whole week trying to look after him. But I remember that time I just could not sleep. But very early in the morning, because in that hospital, since we had to use a government hospital, because we didn't have money that time, I would have wished to take him to a better private facility, but it was not possible that time, and I could not reach out to anybody that time. Remember, now this is the time now you're fighting your own battles, because even those friends that you used to have, those friends who would follow you like everywhere, they're no longer there, because you don't have anything else, you don't have anything to give them. So I was alone in this, and maybe some of my family members, including my mom, and it was not an easy journey. So when I went the following morning, very early in the morning, you know, in the ICU department, when you go to see like somebody who is like your relative or anything, they will first of all ask you if you have something you have come to give him or what. But this time they didn't even ask me, and they had closed all the doors. And I was wondering, since there were other also patients who are there in the ICU, I was wondering, why are they not allowing me to go, and even the others, because we have a right to visit our relatives or our loved ones who are in hospital in this case. So there's a cleaner who I used to see there. And when he came out of the ward, now that the ICU ward, I just asked him, is Mzee still there? Is Mzee there? Have you seen Mzee? He did not speak to me. So by him not speaking to me, I knew something was wrong. But I was still kind of trying to encourage myself. Myself and another lady who had a child in the ICU were called. We were called by name, so and so, so and so. And just by them calling my name, or like us being called apart from these other ones, I definitely knew something was wrong. So we of course we were ushered inside the ward. I tried to peep now where he was, and I saw the curtains closed. So when I saw the curtains closed, I definitely knew that something had happened. So the nurse called me. I remember it was a gentleman. He called me and told me, Evelyn, unfortunately, your husband did not make it through. I don't know why I was not shocked at that time. I did not cry. I was not shocked. I just looked at him and said, okay, you said he did not make it through. Yeah, what happened? He just told me no. He got complications in the dawn of the night, and he did not make it through. I felt like the world was crashing. I felt like I did not hear him good. So he asked me if I wanted to see him, and of course I said yes, I would love to see him, and I was alone that time, very alone. So I went and they opened the curtains, and I saw him lying there. And this is something that that image, I've never recovered from that image, because he was just lying there lifeless, and I could not understand, like, this is somebody I just left yesterday talking and full of life, even though he was really not conscious, and here he is, his mouth wide open, closed his eyes, lifeless. I just felt like it's not possible. So I thank God that that male nurse was very understanding and he was very caring. He just held me close and told me, you know what, it's better that he's no longer in pain, because he could not live through with the heart attack that he had, and also the age really was not right. So I felt like I had to swallow that pill at that moment. And I also think the reality had not hit me quite well. So what I did, I remember I phoned a friend of mine called Phyllis, and I also called my mom, and I phoned, I think, a few other people. And I think that is after, later on, that is when now I got some company, and there was nothing as tough as not knowing what to do, where to start, matters funeral arrangements, matters funeral program, even the church itself, who is going to do all these things. I just could not understand, and I could not fathom. And it was a very, very, very difficult time at that moment. But I thank God, because God really gave me the courage. In fact, it was really hard for somebody to see me crying, even though I was really crashing inside. But I really tried to kind of make myself strong. And my friends and my neighbors, especially now where we lived with my husband, the neighbors really came through for us that time. My family came through for us. But now the church, because they kind of somehow received the information that Mzee is no more, that is the time they came, and they came a day to his funeral. I did not know how to react, because now, you know, in a matanga scenario, like when you're in a mourning period, you're not yourself. You don't even know what to react to, even who is coming. So he just came, said, Paul, oh, we had this and that and that. He left some contributions and they left. And so we decided to bury him in the cemetery in Nakuru, because he did not have much of family. And I remember there's a time he told me, when I die, I wouldn't want you to struggle with me going back to my country to be buried, or just doing grand things like I see you doing here in Kenya. I would like to be buried simply. And that is something he had told me like 3 years before his death. So I think he was trying to kind of prepare me so that when that time comes, I will know what to do. But that is the time I really felt alone. That is the time I felt like, how am I going to push on? Here is somebody we were together for some time. This is somebody we are looking after some kids together with him. My company has gone down. I'm having debts to pay. I'm being trolled by police. Yeah, it was drama. It was a big time for me. So I thank God, because after his funeral, and I remember even during his funeral, I really stayed strong. I didn't even cry. I made sure I'm not going to cry, even though I've cried a lot later on. But when he was telling me that this journey is now when it's beginning, to this date, now that it's 3 years since he passed, is now when I realized, like, even though he left, like whatever we had started together, like the mission was not going to die. Because even after he left, I was still able to take care of those kids. I was still able to bring them to where they are now. These are kids I took in my custody from babies to even high school, to some of them in high school right now. And I realized that if it is not God, I wouldn't be where I am today. So by me narrating this story, it is just to show you that you can walk a journey without having to think about church, but just know that there is a God in heaven who can walk you through valleys that nobody can be able to walk you through. Because I was expecting that maybe when I am in my lowest times, by me being active in a church, do you know, even when we were burying my husband, like when we were doing the funeral arrangements, I had to look for SDA and tell them, this used to be your member, please come and help me bury. And they did not have a problem. In fact, they came for me in the biggest way possible. In fact, I was feeling, what if, I wish I would have gone to SDA when my husband came, because those are people who really showed me love that time. They really showed me support, and they did everything they could to see that my husband has been given a befitting funeral. So after that, I've been able to kind of realize that it doesn't have to be church. As much as we gave so much, as much as we parted with almost everything, when we really needed these people to be there for us, or to be there for me, we did not see them. So when it comes to giving, do it wisely. You don't have to do it in a way that does not have wisdom, or in a way later on you're going to ask yourself, what is this you are doing? Because if I had only maybe kind of saved that money that I was dishing in church, or like kind of invested in things, like even maybe some business or things like that, I don't think we would have reached the place we had reached. Because even if his pension was cut by half and my company got challenges, maybe we would have fallen back to what I had invested. But you see, everything that we were getting, everything that we were making, we were just dishing to church. So those are the things that sometimes when we think of, you just feel bad. And especially when you're going through a challenge, and especially when you find that you're alone in a challenge, you feel like you don't want anything church. I'm not saying that all churches are bad, but when I look at what goes on in so many churches around, especially these Pentecostal churches, I realize it's a lot of brainwash that goes on there. So to this point, I thank God, and the reason why I decided to start this YouTube channel, it's to reach out to the vulnerable and to be able to reach out to those people who don't have a voice, to air out what is killing them inside. It doesn't have to be church. It doesn't have to be what you have gone through in church, no. There are so many things, there are so many challenges that people are going through out here. It could be marriage, it could be society, it could be sickness, it could be anything. So that is why I decided to start this platform, because when I look at the journey back, I really needed people to be around me. I really needed a platform to talk what is harboring in my heart. Even though I've not said everything, but that is the time I would have really wanted to have somebody to share with, like now at church. Because, you know, I think in those olden days, if somebody had something like sickness, if somebody has something like a challenging situation, the first people who should come to try and help this person is church. And you see, in my situation, I did not see this church anywhere close to me. So to date, I'm happy because I've been able to recover most of that pain. In fact, I don't have any bad or bitter feelings for this man of God, because if I had bitter feelings for him, I would be mentioning his names, I would be talking trash about him and even mentioning the name of the church. But I feel like it's okay. There is a God in heaven who judges, and there's a God in heaven who knows the right time to save you. And I think by this far that I have come, it has taken the hand of God. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for always coming back to listen to what I have to say. Because even though sometimes I host people to come and tell me their stories or to bring me their stories, I feel like I'm doing a lot of therapy for myself. I feel like the wounds that were inside are now opening up or are kind of healing. And so when I choose to have a platform like this, because yes, I would have wished any YouTuber like Lynn Ngugi to come and talk to me and tell me, like, Evelyn, like, what happened or what really happened. But maybe sometimes it's not easy to reach people like those, even though I would have really loved to share my story with Lynn. But I felt I can start my own, I can share my own story, and I can give this platform to other people too, so that they can be able to share what they are going through. So for you, just being part of this is a big plus. And for those who also want to reach out to me, I have an email address which is going to be displayed under, of course, after this section, so that you can be able to reach out to me in case you want to share, in case you would love to open about those things that are really weighing you down. I think this will be the right channel, or this will be the right platform, so that you can be able to release the pressure that is inside you. So without much further ado, I want to say thank you and thank you and thank you again. Always subscribe to my channels. Please share this love. Please share these stories as much as you can. And as always, I will always be appreciative every time. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm sure very soon I'm going to do that. But it is going to take only me and you to be able to reach to that kind of a number. So until next time, keep it church, yeah, Eve. Thank you. Bye. Much love.